Hey everyone, Chris aka Zomproof here, and today I want to talk to you about Bethesda's Starfield, set to release November 11th of this year.
Go for launch.
I love space games, or, well, space exploration games, really. Next week, I'll actually have a video out about a childhood favorite, but these days I really enjoy No Man's Sky, or sometimes Hard Space Shipbreaker, which is a tougher name to say out loud than I really expected it to be. But everything will be set aside once Starfield actually releases. In case you're unaware, a new dev chat came out today, and while they didn't have any new gameplay footage to show us, though, well, we really haven't seen gameplay footage at all. I'm guessing that's really because we're not going to see it till the E3 event this year, or whatever event they'll hold in place of E3, which usually takes place around in June. But we did get some information about player choices and their interactions with other people. I'm going to start out with my concerns. The biggest one I have is kind of standard with Bethesda games and really most RPGs in general, and that's your interactions with different factions. If they're just standard kind of quest givers, then it's really not that big of a deal, but in most video games, they always have you taking a side. In the video, design director ML Poglorio, I'm really sure I butchered that last name, and I apologize, discussed working with pirates but reporting their actions to United Colonies, which is kind of the police force in the game worlds, systems, whatever. And if they could pull that level of realism off, that would be really amazing, but it would either be incredibly complex or, I guess, really incredibly shallow. There has to be consequences to your actions. And in the past, that has been if you do this deed, you could have the punishment where a whole faction hates you. Like if you side with the Institute in Fallout 4, that means no one else is going to work with you anymore. In fact, a lot of people will outright just start shooting you upon sight. And it doesn't really matter. There's no nuance to it. It doesn't matter what your motivation is behind that choice. It's kind of like if you get the Nuka World expansion or played the Nuka World expansion, you start, well, I don't want to say too much, but I guess you do start reconquering your old outposts that you helped liberate or build up originally. But there was no real, there was no level to it. It was just you conquered it, it was conquered. There was no, you couldn't discuss it with the settlers and try to establish some type of relationship. It was A or B. It was very binary, which isn't super fun in the game world. I frankly, and this is probably speaks to Bethesda's credit, I felt bad, and there were plenty of settlements that I completely disregarded because I'd spent a lot of time building it up, and I didn't like the idea of handing it over to someone else, especially the drive-in theater. I really like that spot. But so it'll be interesting to see how they kind of handle that, and hopefully there is that level of complexity to it to make it believable. Now, speaking of relationships, lead quest designer Will Sheehan mentioned an evolution of the persuasion minigame from Oblivion. For those of you that don't remember or are depressingly too young, in the persuasion minigame basically gave you a wheel with 4 different pie slices to go choose from. And you basically have to figure out between those 4 choices which would give you the best benefit when interacting with particular NPCs. It wasn't super dynamic. An NPC would have the same options regardless of your playthrough. It was never there was no randomness to it, and you could very much, as you hovered your cursor over a selection, you could see how they would react to it. So it was easy to kind of cheat. But I did really like that it wasn't a dialogue option that you had in the game itself. It was something more dynamic, more real. Like if I'm trying to get access to something that I shouldn't, or get someone to do something, I could compliment them just kind of randomly, more in a more realistic way. Like compliment, it doesn't really share exactly what you say to them. So, which is where I'm guessing the biggest evolution actually will be is maybe either some choices on how you actually present these dialogue options, or it will be. I mean, I guess it could be the pie wheel again, but oh man, I'm really hoping it's not. But it's kind of cool to see that level of detail kind of coming back into play again, and creating a more risk reward system as opposed to just having it say, you have the Black Widow trait, so you talking with this person is automatically going to succeed for you. Maybe this will, or you'll have this level of percentage to whether or not you'll succeed in saying this, but it's still a pre-built dialogue option. There's no randomness to it. So it'll be exciting to see in what direction that could actually end up going. Next up, they discussed having a much more detailed character creation system. They specifically describe using the similar system to what they use to actually build landscapes, which I'm sure creates a much more detailed facial structure for the individual characters. I'll be honest, while I'm intrigued to see, they also mentioned traits and stats and all that kind of stuff. I'm intrigued to see how all that kind of stuff will work. I really don't mess with character creators that much. That's not really something that appeals to me. The game does have first and third person view, though with most Bethesda games, I tend to choose that first person view. So I'm never going to see the person anyway, so it really doesn't matter. We'll probably pick a very default model, maybe give them a similar haircut to mine, maybe see if I could give them some stubble because, everyone likes stubble. Other than that, I don't really care, but to each your own. I hope it's as detailed as some of the previous games have been, because seeing some of the options that can come out of there is pretty cool. I'm just not going to do it myself. Sorry. Lastly, for things they specifically discussed, I like that they're continuing to evolve the relationships you can have with your companions. Now, so far, we've only seen one, and he's a droid, so I don't really know how detailed that relationship will be.
Hello, Captain. How may I be of assistance?
But when you're exploring in other Bethesda games, your random interactions with the NPCs is what really makes the game enjoyable and makes it feel more real. It could be even minor little things like a comment as you pass by a location, or a comment about an item you've picked up. It doesn't really matter. It just having an evolution to that relationship would be a great way to help draw the player in, as I'm assuming, as a game that they keep discussing is about exploration. It's just going to be you and your companion for a significant portion of the game, though that, I guess, is still really yet to be seen. What I'm kind of intrigued to see if there will finally be something to evolve their free time, their idle time, whatever you want to call it. In Fallout 4, you could assign your companions to watch over specific settlements, which is all well and good. It's not very exciting. They still just guard that settlement, and that's all they do. They don't do anything else. So it'd be neat if we could actually see them evolve in some way, shape, or form. Like, have them actually do something in their downtime, so the next time you take them back into your group, they're bringing something new to the table. It's just a small thing I can think of that would build upon that relationship device to make the companions more engaging. I'll be honest, there are plenty of times in Skyrim I kind of would ditch companions because they tended to just kind of get in my way more often than not. I had to babysit them more. Yeah, they would take some damage, and I could dump a lot of my extra gear on them, but that was all they were kind of good for, especially when you're taking on dragons. I can handle that by myself. I don't need you guys. So that's the kind of the main stuff they discussed in the video. Now, since this is my first video on this game, I kind of want to mention some of the things I would like to see in the final product. And the biggest thing I want to say is the best part of Bethesda games has been that sense of exploration, finding all the nooks and crannies, finding all the Easter eggs that really make the worlds feel real and lived in. But I don't know how that would look in a game like Starfield. They do keep discussing exploration, and I really hope that means we get to see things that haven't been seen by other people. I don't want this to be like one of the downsides to Andromeda was a lot of selling point on exploring new alien worlds that there are already other settlements on. So people had clearly been there. They just, I guess, hadn't really gone that far, but they're there. So that kind of takes you out of it a little bit. I hope we get some more opportunities to literally just see planets that have no interaction with another human being or alien. I don't want to say alien race because we still don't really know if aliens are even involved in this thing, but I don't know. I hope you understand my meaning from this. Basically, I'm hoping to see more of a, I guess, No Man's Sky than an Outer Worlds game. And with that in mind, I'd also kind of hope we get to see creatures that aren't going to just attack us on sight. It's kind of a big frustration for me in games like the Outer Worlds where just walking around, the majority of the creatures you meet are immediately hostile. If that's what space travel is going to end up being like when we actually kind of find other creatures out there, that's really depressing. I know we are not the calmest of species, but I really hope that I hope that we're the exception and not the rule. So I'm hoping to see something more like a No Man's Sky where plenty of creatures are very docile and kind of might come up to you and kind of try to interact with you, but will then skirt away the second you try to do something, and you could try to feed them. I mean, I don't want a No Man's Sky clone, don't get me wrong, but something in that vein. Because at the end of the day, humans are natural explorers. As a species, we do have that curiosity and that drive to discover the unknown. And I hope this is something that the game will encourage. Just like No Man's Sky, like Elite Dangerous, and frankly, quite a few others. But, I mean, I guess time will tell. Hopefully, we'll find out in the next few months what the game is really going to look like. Or we'll get enough developer videos that we could kind of piece things together and get a better understanding. Fortunately for us, Bethesda does generally have a really good track record when it comes at least to single-player games. I know multiplayer is a bit spottier, but at the end of the day, even Fallout 76 has turned out to be, at the very least, an enjoyable game, if not up there as one of their best titles. But what are your thoughts? There's a link in the comments below so you could actually watch the video as well, which I'm sure will link to their other videos on the topic. Watch it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. And are you excited to explore Skyrim in space? Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button while you're down there as well. And as always, I'm Chris, aka Zomproof. Thanks for stopping by.